Hi, and welcome to the second video in this Social Security class. I've titled this section The Crown Jewel of Retirement Income. That's the way I view Social Security. To me, it's the crown jewel. I asked AI a little bit. I'm calling Social Security the crown jewel of retirement income. Does that sound okay? And AI came back and said, yeah, that sounds good. That doesn't seem like it's a problem. And then gave some reasons why that really does support it. But so I like to call it the crown jewel of retirement income. It is the centerpiece, the foundation. That's the way I view it. Now, I need to kind of qualify that just a little bit. Okay. So the qualification here is about my investment style for Ty's retirement roadmap. So and that's a whole nother class to talk about investments. But I just I've got to lay the groundwork here. And basically what I'm trying to say here is when it comes to investments, first of all, the most important is we need to be able to cover reliably, securely, our fixed expenses in retirement. You can also call them essential expenses. Or I have one podcast that I follow that I think is brilliant. They call it minimum dignity floor. Okay, so we need reliable, secure income to cover that. That's what I see a big part of Social Security do. There's just nothing better than Social Security to do that. Now, Social Security probably isn't going to cover 100% for most people, but that's a really good place to start. And we want to maximize the amount of Social Security we get just for that very reason. There just is no other investment that comes close to it. That's the way I view it. So we've got this secure, reliable income. That's a piece of the portfolio. Another part of the portfolio really is a year's worth of current spending cash, so that it's there. It's ready to go, preferably in a Roth IRA, for example, that's already been, the taxes are already been paid. So that's the other part. And then finally, truthfully, the most important part is if you have investable assets, they need to be in the stock market and they need to be earning as much money as they possibly can, as long as we have these other two pieces in place. So I guess the analogy that I'm trying to make on this is I see that if we think of the sun, I guess if we go back to like this, people used to think, hey, listen, that the earth is this center of the universe. And I kind of was thinking that, hey, I'm trying to make this Social Security as the center of the universe. But really, the earth revolves around the sun. So and the sun is hot. It provides a lot of energy. If you're like we are, and we have solar panels on our roof and batteries to store energy, that's where a lot of energy comes from. And in the investment portfolio, that's really where we want the bulk of our money, if we can do it, is to put it into the stock market. But we also have to have these other things in place in case there are rainy days. The sun's not out for a while, we're not producing energy, that sort of thing. And my analogy is, think of Social Security like we got to have SPF 70. And I just have to take this opportunity to say I'm very careful about that. And in fact, when we're down here near Palm Springs and Coachella Valley, and we go on these hikes. Tuesday mornings are hike mornings, and I really put a lot of SPF 70 all over me. I look like a ghost because I got so much sunscreen on. And that is kind of similar to the way I view Social Security. You got to have it to protect yourself. Okay, I'm not sure that analogy sticks very well, but I thought I would use it, and hopefully it helps people understand more about the importance of Social Security in the retirement financial plan. Okay, so I view Social Security as an investment, especially when we are delaying Social Security, those 8 years between 62 and 70, that 8 years. If we're delaying, that we need to treat as an investment. And it is, in my opinion, the best investment for retirement income that we can make, hands down, no negotiation. That's the way I feel. And I know that sounds like an extreme argument, but remember, if in the very first video when I was talking about this and the whole discussion of rethinking delay to 70 rule, it kind of kind of got to me a little bit. And I understand the psychological reasons for it that I can't really articulate very well. But it's from a financial perspective, this is an investment, delaying Social Security until you're 70. And I say there's no better investment. So here's the deal. My partner Jeff and I, we have a business. It is a registered investment advisor company. Okay. And I am licensed with the state of California as an investment advisor representative such that I can give investment advice. And this company and I, as an investment advisor, I'm held to a fiduciary duty. Okay. So I have to put my clients' interest first. That's super important. And I take that very seriously. And that's why I think that as an investment advisor, it is my fiduciary duty to help people understand the importance of this investment and how great of an investment it is. I mean, like investment advisors can talk about precious metals, crypto, you know, low cap stocks. You can talk about a lot of different investment strategies. This one here, we'll talk some more about it, but this one's a pretty important one. And like I said, as an investment advisor, I think it's very important that I cover this with my clients when they're talking about Social Security. And should clients say, hey, listen, I get your argument about waiting to 70, but we just feel better. We go back to that person. I feel so much better sleeping at night. My job is done when I say, hey, okay, I get that, but as long as you know that financially you might be leaving money on the table. Okay. The other thing, in this 8 years, while we're delaying Social Security, it is, for those of you who are familiar with annuities, and that's a whole nother topic, okay? And I'm like, when it comes to annuities, I like two annuities. A single premium immediate annuity, SPIA, and I like deferred income annuities. And we're talking about a deferred income annuity right here with that 8 years. Because what we're doing is we're making an investment and we are saying, hey, listen, I'm going to wait to draw Social Security. And during those 8 years, I am investing so that later on, when I turn on that annuity, I've purchased this extra amount. Okay, so it's similar to that, and you're using the provider of this annuity in this comparison is the U.S. government, and here's the kicker: it is adjusted for inflation, and you can't find, to my knowledge, you cannot find a deferred income annuity that does that adjusts for inflation. There might be cost of living adjustments, but they aren't. So I like that. I think that's important. Again, I call this the crown jewel of our retirement income. Thanks, and I will meet you on the next video.